All right, welcome back to Dubs Only Sports. I know it's been a while. We haven't posted long form videos on YouTube for 2+ years, but we're back and it couldn't be better because we have NBA free agency right now, which has been absolutely wild. And before we start the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. Check us out on all platforms because we're going to be pumping out some great content this summer. So just lock in. But let's start off free agency. NBA free agency has been kind of wild. So let's start off with the Milwaukee Bucks. What are they doing? What are the Milwaukee Bucks doing? Like, okay, I get that they want to keep Giannis. I get they have one of the best players in the league. It's been an MVP candidate for the last 6, 7 years. I get it. And they won a championship. They went all in. They got Drew Holiday. They got Dame. They put all their eggs into that basket and it didn't work. The last 2 years, they haven't been good. They lost to the Pacers in the first round both years. And they're like, you know what? We're screwed. We don't have any assets. We have traded all our first round picks for the next 6, 7 years. They don't own any of their picks. So, like, you know what? The only way that we're possibly going to keep Giannis is that we're going to basically buy out Dame Lillard for his 2 year, $110 million contract. We're going to buy him out, pay him $20 million for the next 5 years, and then we're going to sign Myles Turner for 25 a year. What are they thinking? What do they think is going to happen? Like, genuinely, what do they think is going to happen? When you pay a guy $20 million to do nothing, you're basically taking one player that you could have an elite role player, elite wing, anything, and you're just saying that roster spot, it's gone. So basically what they're doing is they're paying Myles Turner $50 million a year, and Myles Turner's a great player, but he's not worth $50 million a year. And when you look at this Bucks team right now, yes, they re-signed Torian Prince, they re-signed Gary Trent Jr., they got Gary Harris, they have Jericho Sims, they have some guys, they re-signed Kevin Porter Jr., they have some guys. This team could probably, if Giannis comes back, if they run it back, they have all these guys, they could probably win 45 to 50 games in the East, and they'll probably go home in round 1 or 2 at best, at best. But my point with this is that, like, you're bringing in Myles Turner. Your starting lineup right now is Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., probably Kyle Kuzma, Giannis, and Myles Turner. You're not challenging at all in the East. You have no chance of winning the East. You're not better than the Hawks. You're not better than the Magic. You're not better than the Cavs. You're not better than the Knicks. Like, even like, I don't know. I don't get the plan right here. Like, I understand the Bucks they're so invested in this core and in Giannis because they've just went all in. As I said before, they don't have their picks and stuff. I get that they're super invested in this team, but like, I feel like it's just basically irresponsible and like almost malpractice to just say, okay, we're gonna go all in on a team that has no shot of winning just because we want to keep Giannis. Like, I don't really understand it. Like, people can argue and say, oh, they can hit threes and you're underestimating Giannis, all these different things, and that's fine. And they say the East is weaker this year, which is true. I get that. But the East being weaker doesn't mean that you have a better team. It just means that the rest of the conference is weaker. Like, if you still have a bad team, you're not going to win. So I don't know. I don't exactly understand it. Before the offseason, I thought they should have traded Giannis just to get some assets and try to restart because they're already screwed. They're in basketball purgatory right now. Like, they're kind of cooked anyway. I thought they should reset it, get some good young players. Like, you try to do a trade with the Rockets. I don't know if they want to give up Şengün or Jabari Smith or any of those guys, but theoretically, you could trade Şengün and Jabari Smith and maybe 2 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks for Giannis. And if the Bucks were able to get a package like that, I would much rather be in that position where you have like 2 young players that are ascending, that have potential, and multiple first-round picks than be with Giannis and then basically lose in the first round for the next 2 years. He leaves, and then you're left with nothing, and you have none of your picks, and you're in cap hell. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know. I don't really see the Bucks' vision right here. You gotta, I guess, respect the front office for continually going all in on Giannis. Like, they really care, and you can see that. But I just don't see it, man. Like, I understand the thought process, and like, we're screwed anyway. We might as well just go all in and hope that Giannis stays. But like, I just don't see the end goal. Like, you're not winning with Giannis. I mean, maybe if the fan base wants Giannis to be there and all that kind of stuff, but like, you're not winning the next 2 years even with Giannis. I don't care what they do. They are not winning the championship. So it's like, in my opinion, I would just say reset it, like, just end it, move on. And this has nothing to do with Myles Turner either. He's a really good player. And it's just, I don't know, even for him, like, he got his money, but it's like, he signed with a team that Giannis is going to leave in 2 years. They're going to suck. It's like, yeah, you got your money, but is he going to ask out in 2 years? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't exactly see the Bucks' vision, but you got to respect them going all in, I guess. I mean, I think they're cooked. I already thought they were cooked before the trade. Now I think, or before the signing. Now I think they're really cooked. So yeah, I really don't like it. Um, the next one we got to talk about. Everyone talks about this team, the Los Angeles Lakers. Rob Pelinka's at it again, man. Like, I'm not even trying to hate. Like, I mean, I kind of am, but I'm not even trying to hate. But like this dude, I'm gonna make a video on this in coming up. But like this man has not done anything to earn his job, and the fact that he's still there is unbelievable. I'm not even that pressed about them letting DFS go. Like, yes, it's not ideal, and you obviously want to have a good wing like that. He's very important. But like this Lakers team, my bigger yes, they signed DeAndre Ayton. We'll get into that. But like my big question with this Lakers team is what are you trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to win it this year with LeBron, Luca, DeAndre Ayton now, that team? Or are you trying to build around Luca? Are you trying to get assets in, try to get some young players, get some picks, and then you can use those assets to build Luca a team? Like, I just don't understand what direction they're trying to go in. Are you trying, in my opinion, you have to pick one. You either have to try to win now and try to put your resources in now and have a good team for the next 3 to 4 years, and then maybe in 4 to 5 years when Luca's 32, then you're not as good. Fine. But, or what you could do is you could say, okay, we have LeBron, but we're not actually that close to winning. We're not better than Houston. We're not better than OKC. We're not better than Denver. Okay, let's find a way to get assets for LeBron. Let him go to a different team. Let's bring in some assets and then use those assets to get other younger players that are more on Luka's timeline that can kind of rise up with him. And in my opinion, if I was the Lakers and that's your goal is to build around Luka, then you should try to do that. You shouldn't be half in, half out. You shouldn't keep LeBron and just throw away this year because they're not going to win it this year. Throw away this year with this team and then just be like, oh, now we're trying to win with Luka. It's like you just wasted a whole year of Luka's prime. Luka's in his prime right now. Like this is Luka's prime. You're just gonna waste it because, like, I just don't get the direction. So I'm not going to get pressed about the DFS signing. Like DFS being there versus not being there is not going to cost them a championship. He's a very good player and he's important to this type of team, but this team is so much farther away from a championship than just DFS. So I'm not going to freak out about that. The Laravia signing I do like from a Lucas standpoint because I think he does have potential. I've seen some clips. I've been watching some film of him. Like he does seem like he has some potential, and over the course of a few years, I think he can get a lot better. But right now, he's not a contributing player on an elite team. Like he needs to get there. He's not there yet. And DeAndre Ayton, like he's super talented. I mean, I remember watching him, UCLA fan, watching him against Arizona. Like this dude's a really good player and he's super talented. He's big. He can hit shots. He has good touch. Like he's a really good player. But whenever you're bought out by a team, whenever you're getting that much money, you're that good of a player. You're averaging 15 to 18 and 10 on 65% shooting, and you get bought out. It's not exactly a good sign. Like something, the fact that the fact that the Suns wanted to get rid of him and then now the Blazers wanted to get rid of him, like something is just not right there. Obviously, people have concerns about the motor, the mindset, the intensity, the aggressiveness, and those are all. I know everyone thinks that they're just like overrated concerns because if you have talent, you have talent, and that's true. If you have talent, that's very important. But when you're trying to build a championship roster, you look at the teams that have won championships, the Thunder, the Celtics, the Warriors, all these teams, like you have to have a certain culture and mindset and intensity and passion to win. Like you have to have this drive and motivation and just intensity to whatever happens, you got to be just in it, engaged, intense. And like if you're being questioned for your mindset and like your intensity, it's a bad look. First of all, it's a bad look. And second of all, like for a team that's trying to compete, it's not exactly the best thing, especially when you consider the fact that the Lakers right now, their defense includes Austin Reeves and Luka, and Austin Reeves tries. Luka has some size, so it's not completely like just like cones, but like it's almost cones. Like this defense with DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves, I mean, I don't know which defense is going to be worse, this year's Lakers team or last year's Nuggets team, but it's going to be bad. That the offense is going to be very good. I mean, if you have LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, Rui, you got Dalton Connect off the bench, you got DeAndre Ayton, like you're going to have a good offense. You're going to score 115, 120 points a game, but like I'm just concerned about that defense and especially the motor when you have a guy like Luka who people question his motor on defense, and then you also have another guy like that. Like it just, I mean, you had to do this signing because it was only $8 million. The Lakers haven't had a center in the last few years. I mean, you want to go through the list of Lakers centers since 20. Let's just go through the list of Lakers centers since 2023. Jackson Hayes, Alex Len, Trey Jemison, Christian Coloco, Colin Castleton, Harry Giles, Thomas Bryant, Wenyan Gabriel, Mo Bamba, and Damian Jones. Like, they had AD, of course, but they could not get a center to save their life. Rob Pelinka could not find a single center in the league. Not even a Clint Capella, Jonas Valanciunas, none of those guys. He couldn't get anyone. Those were the guys he had. So at least now you have a decent center who's super talented, has a lot of tools. He should be a pretty good fit. I mean, Luka's going to be driving to the hole a lot, going to get some mid-range shots. He's going to get to the basket. He's going to get some help side defenders. He'll just pass it out to DeAndre Ayton right there. He can hit some floaters, some hook shots. Like, he's actually good in that area. He's good from 5 to 10 feet from the basket. He's actually really good from there, DeAndre Ayton. So Luka will create a lot of advantages. So will LeBron. So he'll have some open shots. He'll have some good looks, but I just don't understand. My big point with this is I don't understand the Lakers' vision. Even if you get a guy like Andrew Wiggins and you get DeAnthony Melton or you sign Al Horford, or like, you have a team that's probably the 6 seed, 5 seed, 6 seed, maybe a play-in team. I don't know. They're not a top tier team in the West. They're clearly not better than Houston, clearly not better than OKC, clearly not better than Denver. So I don't really see the vision with the Los Angeles Lakers right now, but you had to do the Ayton signing, so you got to give them that. But I think the Lakers really need to question like where they're going. That's my point with them. You got to think about what you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to win in 3 years, 2 years, this year? Like, I think they just need to figure that out. Once they come to that decision, I think it'll be a lot better for them. But we'll see if they're able to pull off some other trades. People have been talking about Walker Kessler, who has a high asking price. Maybe Andrew Wiggins, another wing, but that's a big issue for them. They lost DFS. They got Ayton, but they do not have enough wings. They're just, if you watch the Minnesota series, you can point to the numbers, all that stuff. They got physically dominated. And that's surprising for a team that has big bodies like Rui, Luka, LeBron. They're pretty big. They're a pretty big team, but they obviously didn't have a center, but their other position, they have positional size. So the fact that they got that physically dominated by the Timberwolves, like, it's concerning. And the fact that DeAndre Ayton, that's his one concern, is his motor and his physical intensity. Like, I'm still concerned about this team, but they need a few more players. We'll see if they get some, but yeah, they're just not close right now. I don't think they're close. We'll see if they trade LeBron. We'll see if all that stuff, but it's crazy times in LA right now. It's crazy times. Now we actually get to my favorite team this offseason, who's been the Denver Nuggets. I mean, I have absolutely loved what this team has done. I mean, they've been close to, they won the championship in 2023. They had a great playoff run, elite offense. And the last 2 years, they've struggled in the playoffs from the standpoint that they haven't been super healthy. They're not deep, so they're basically just relying on their starting lineup. And they've just had some close games. They had close game 7 in 2024. They lost to the Timberwolves at home. They should have won that game. They're up 20. And then last year, they just got blown out by the Thunder this year, they got blown out by the Thunder because they didn't have it. I mean, Aaron Gordon was hurt. Jamal Murray was They just didn't have enough depth. The Thunder were a better team. It is what it is. But this team has significantly improved this offseason. They were able to take a bad contract in Michael Porter Jr., making $38 million a year, and replacing him with Cam Johnson, who's has some similarities to MPJ, but also he's a better defender. He's a little more engaged. He's a little more reliable. So I think it's a great fit. You're able to shed $17 million in cap space, so that's great. And that allowed them to make other moves. They were able to get Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas. I mean, you think about the Nuggets' problems the last few years. What has it been in the playoffs? They're so reliant on their starting lineup. They have Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Jokic. They had MPJ and Christian Brown. Those 5 guys, they were so reliant on them because they didn't have any depth. Yes, they had Russell Westbrook. They had a few guys like throughout the years, but they were really reliant on that starting 5, which was a great starting 5. But as we saw with the Lakers that last year, like, you need to have depth. You watch the Pacers, you watch the Thunder, you look at the Rockets now. To win in today's NBA, you need depth. And they were able to do that. They were able to get a younger player in Cam Johnson who plays better defense, is just more like mentally engaged in the game than MPJ sometimes. MPJ has a ton of talent, so he's a great player too. But I think that you're able to replace that. You're able to get Jonas Valanciunas to be a backup center for Jokic. They haven't had a backup center in ages. I don't know. So they finally are able to take some pressure off Jokic, be able to give him 7 to 8 minutes here and there to just take a breather, get his energy back, because he's by far the best player in the league, Jokic. So that's a big move that not a lot of people are going to talk about, but that Jonas Valanciunas move I really like. Tim Hardaway Jr. just gives you some pop off the bench. He can hit some shots. He can get hot here and there. Kind of like the Jamal Murray element where he can just get hot and kind of carry you for like a quarter. I kind of like that for Tim Hardaway Jr. It gives you just a good kind of like streaky score off the bench. I kind of like it. And Bruce Brown, like when he was on the Nuggets, like he was just a winner. Like he just fit into the system. He gets some big rebounds. He makes some big plays. Just he's like that intangible guy. So I really like what they did this offseason. Now they have more depth. Now they have like 7 to 8 guys that they can trust instead of just 5. So that was a big deal for Denver, and I'll get to this a bit later, but if I was gonna pick any team to win the championship next year, right now, I'm taking the Nuggets. Like, this team, you could talk about the Thunder, you could talk about the Rockets, you could talk about the teams in the East and how the East is weaker, and I get it. But this Nuggets team that had tons of flaws, Aaron Gordon was basically playing on a torn hamstring. They had 5 to 6 players at best. They took that Thunder team to 7 games. They didn't even play that great in the series. Jokic had a few bad games in a row, which he never does. So they're a problem just because how good Jokic is, and now they just fixed all their problems. All their problems were MPJ's not healthy and he's not playing well. You get Cam Johnson now, like that's a big fix. You didn't have a backup center. Now you have Jonas Valanciunas. You didn't have that much depth. Now you get Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr. and those other two guys. Like, it was a big offseason in Denver, and I really think that they can challenge for a title next year. I'm really high on Denver, so we'll see if they're able to stay healthy, all that kind of stuff, but I really like what they did. Now we got to get into the Houston Rockets. Like, they've had a great offseason too. Last year, I mean, their offense was just so abysmal against the Warriors that they actually played good defense. They played pretty well in that series. They were in that series. They could have easily won it, but their offense was just so bad, so stagnant that they just weren't able to get over the hump. But now you're able to replace Jalen Green, an inefficient volume shooter, with Kevin Durant, literally the most efficient scorer in the NBA from all levels. Like, this dude is I know everyone's been hating on him because the Steph Curry stuff and he only won in Golden State and the Suns have been bad, but if you look at how this guy performs, you watch his game, you just watch this guy play, he's special. Like, I know people get it, all this legacy stuff, but like, Kevin Durant right now, still at the age of what, 36, 37, he is still a ridiculously efficient scorer. You look at his heat maps of like what his percentages are from each like part of the court. He's like elite from everywhere. He's like 50% here, 70% from here. I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, he's literally a top 10 percentile shooter from every single spot on the court. He's a 40% three-point shooter. He's like 55% from the mid-range, which is unheard of. He's great getting to he's not great at getting to the basket, but he's very efficient when he gets there. So this is exactly what they needed. They needed a guy that could just get a bucket, get some mid-range shots whenever the offense bogs down, to just give it to KD, let him do his thing. So I love the move. I absolutely love the move for Kevin Durant. You get off of Jalen Green, you get off of Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks brings some energy, but they got off of him too. And they just brought in everyone. They're like, oh, we're gonna bring in DFS. We're gonna bring in Clint Capella. Now they do have a lot of centers right now, so I don't exactly know what they're gonna do there, but they're big, they're strong, they're athletic, they have size. They're gonna be an elite defense. I think they're gonna be easily a top 5 defense in the league. And as we saw this year, even the Thunder, like, they did not play well on offense during the postseason. Like, they couldn't shoot threes. They were very reliant on Shea, and J-Dub had a few big games. But like, you saw that even when you aren't able to score, you need to have a team that can defend, force turnovers, just play strong basketball, get rebounds. And even if you're not scoring, if you do all that other stuff right, you're still in the game. So this team, I'm still a little concerned about their offense because I still think that they can kind of get bogged down. Like, Şengün can get a little bogged down. But they also, to be fair, they do have some young guys that are coming up, like Reed Shepherd. That guy can shoot. So if he's able to take a step, if he's able to get a bigger role, like, that's a big thing for them. Kevin Durant, obviously, they're just deeper, better, and just, it's more of a cohesive unit now. So I really like what the Rockets did. I'd have them probably as the second best regular season team in the West. I think that they would probably finish with the 2 seed. But in a playoff series, I would pick Denver because of the experience. I think Jokic is Jokic. So I think that right now they should be like the third highest favorite in terms of playoff odds and the second highest for regular season odds, because I really like this team. I think they're clearly a top 3 team in the West, but I do still have some concerns about their scoring and that kind of stuff. But overall, I really like this team. I think their defense is going to be elite, and I love what they did this offseason. So great job to Houston. Now we got the Atlanta Hawks. And before this offseason, no one was talking about them. Everyone's like, oh, they're the Bulls, they're the Kings, they're that mid team that it's always just 42 and 40, just average every single year. This team next year, they are not going to be average. This team is an elite team. I know people are like high on them and they really like them. I think I'm higher on them than most people because people like to point to Trae Young's size and his limitations and all that stuff, but we literally saw Trae Young take a team to the Eastern Conference Finals with an average roster. Now this roster is better. They have just a ton of talent. They have a ton of size. They're super athletic. I mean, when you have a guy that like Trae Young, who's short, he's not super, like, he's mobile, but he's not super mobile defensively, and he's clearly a liability. They literally formed the perfect roster around him to help him on defense. Like, you have just size everywhere. Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Risa Shea. You're just huge. You have Kristaps, you have Onyeka Okongwu. They're just huge everywhere. They have size everywhere. So I love this team. I think that their young guys obviously need to develop. Like, Risa Shea needs to develop. Jalen Johnson needs to stay healthy because that guy is super talented. He can easily be an all-star. So if he stays healthy, he's going to be a problem. And Dyson Daniels took a big leap last year. I mean, he had one of the best steal seasons ever. He's a great defender. You have Nikhil Alexander Walker, who's another great player who's just plays defense. As we saw before, the Pacers, the Thunder, you look at teams like other teams throughout the league that are doing well, depth. What do the Hawks have now? Depth. They got Luke Kennard, Nikhil Alexander Walker. They're like 7, 8, 9 players deep. They're going to be able to just harass teams. Like, you can literally have a defense with Nikhil Alexander Walker, who's 6'4", 6'5". Then you have Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Risha Shea, and then Kristaps. I mean, you're huge. No one's going to want to play against that team. So I really like what this team did. I think that there are some concerns because Trey is pretty ball dominant, and sometimes it can get bogged down a little bit. Sometimes he takes a few bad shots here and there, but I overall really like what this team did because I just think that they're big outside of Trey. They're going to be pretty good on defense outside of Trey, and Trey's offense and with these other guys, the size, like, they can shoot a little bit. They're not like probably going to be the best shooting team, but they have some shooters. I mean, they just got Luke Kennard, who's pretty good fit, but Kristaps, if Kristaps stays healthy, that's a big one. If Kristaps stays healthy, he'll be able to space the floor. He's huge, so he's really big on defense interiorly because when you have a guy like Trey, there's going to be guys getting to the basket. So it is very important to have a guy like Kristaps. But if they're able to stay healthy, Jalen Johnson, Kristaps, all those guys, I genuinely think this is going to be a top 3 team in the East. I think that in the playoffs they can be a problem. I think they can make the finals. I think this Hawks team could be last year's Pacers team. They're deep. They have talent. I mean, I think Halliburton and Trey both average a lot of assists, so they're both good passers from that standpoint. But I think that Halliburton's better from the standpoint of, like, it's not only about the amount of assists. When you have the ball, when you monopolize the ball, kind of like Trey does, like, it's just a different dynamic with the offense. With Halliburton, you just don't see the stuff. It's like kind of like Steph Curry with Halliburton. Like, when you're passing the ball constantly and the ball's constantly moving, players are constantly moving, everyone's engaged, it's just so hard for the defense to guard because, like, they don't know where players are going. Like, it's just constant movement over and over and over again. And there's just rotations. People get lost. You have open shooters. So I think that Halliburton is better than Trey, but I think that Trey can kind of provide a similar thing with this team. I think they're going to be good on offense. I think they're going to be good on defense. They do have some limitations, but I could see this team making a run. I really like this team. Then we got some more under the radar moves, and the Magic, everyone's going to talk about the Desmond Bane deal, which I love again because they could not shoot threes. They just didn't have that much scoring pop last year, and now they get Desmond Bane, who's one of the best shooters in the league, so that's a huge move. But Tyus Jones, another huge move. Like, no one's going to talk about it because it's Tyus Jones, but, like, he's a really good player. He can shoot, he can pass. He's just a good guard at controlling the pace. I remember watching him on the Grizzlies a few years ago. Like, that guy, like, he was good in the playoffs. So I really like this move for them. I think that you have Jalen Suggs. If he misses time because he's been very injury prone, you have a guy like Tyus Jones right there to just back him up, just stay in the fold. I really like this team. Like, I'm still concerned about this team's offense because adding one player doesn't just completely change. Like, it can change it a lot. Like, their offense is going to get better, but they literally had the worst 3-point percentage in the league by, like, a significant amount last year. So I'm still concerned about the shooting and the scoring. I kind of think they're, like, a little worse than the Rockets from that standpoint, but I think this defense is going to be elite. You have Paolo, Franz Wagner. You just have size everywhere, wings. Just it's a really good team. So I like the defense. I'm still a little concerned about the offense. I think the offense is going to be better. So I think they're probably going to be the 4 seed. I probably have 1 seed Cavs, 2 seed Knicks, 3 seed Hawks, 4 seed Magic. I really like this team. I think in the playoffs they could be a problem. They could win the East too, but I still have a few concerns about their health and their offense, but I really like this team and I love the Tyus Jones move. Like, they needed a backup guard. They got their backup guard. Now, the Grizzlies, speaking of the Grizzlies, they lost, as we know, Desmond Bane. They made the trade. They replaced him with a guy like Ty Jerome, who's not exactly the same skill set, but he's a good player. He's very good at floaters, except for the playoffs. He'll be fine. But I think he's a good player. He's like a winning player. He obviously didn't have a great postseason. The Cavs didn't have a great postseason. It is what it is, but I still like this player. I think for the value that they got was pretty good. They also re-signed Santi Aldama, good player, good wing. They have Jaw, they have Jaren Jackson Jr., they still have Zach Edey. They lost Luke Kennard, so they did lose some pieces, but I think the Grizzlies will be probably like a play-in team. I don't think they're threats in the Western Conference at all. I think they'll probably be 9, 10 seed probably, but they still have talent. They still are a solid team. Um, I like the move because they got you know who I also like? Cedric Coward. I like that guy a lot. I know everyone's high on him, but like he just fits the mold. When you see a guy with that kind of mindset, with his size, his shooting ability, like he's not going to replace Desmond Bane, obviously, because he's a rookie, but that's a big move for them. I really like their draft. I like Ty Jerome. So I think that the Grizzlies might be a little underrated. Like people will be like, oh, well, like they lost Desmond Bane and like they struggled at the end of last year. I think they're going to make the play-in. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. They might win the play-in, make it to the playoffs, but I think this team is for considering the situation they were in with like the Jaw stuff and like Jaren Jackson and like all the issues that they had in the last like year or two. I think that this team has potential going forward, not to be like a championship contender, but they could kind of I think they could get back to their like top four in the West kind of thing if they just continue to build because I think this front office does a really good job. I mean, Cedric Coward, they getting him in the draft, like everyone would loved him and they got him. So I think that's a big move for them. Now we talk about the Clippers. They re-signed James Harden, which everyone's gonna be like, oh, he sucks in the playoffs. But if you have a guy like James Harden on your team, you're gonna win 45 to 50 regular season games. So there is some value to that. Obviously, you have a limitation in the playoffs because it's James Harden in the playoffs, but he's I think you have to make that move. You're not going to let him go. You can't rely on Kawhi Leonard to be your only star player when he can get injured at any time. So you had to make that move. They got Brooke Lopez, which he's not what he was obviously, but he can still stretch the floor. You have Zubac. You have a ton of depth. I mean, this team we saw in the playoffs, they have a ton of guys that they can switch in. So now you're just adding more depth to that. So like they have a good roster. I mean, I don't think they're legit contenders. I think they're in that next tier. I think you got Houston, Denver, and OKC, and then the next tier is kind of like teams like the Clippers. You got the Warriors. Maybe you could throw in the Lakers, the Mavericks. We'll talk about them later, but I just think I think it's a good move. I mean, it was pretty cheap. They didn't have to give up that much. I think it was like 5, 6 million. So they didn't have to give up that much to get him. It's a solid fit. They get a backup center for Zubac. So I liked it. And similar to that, you got the Knicks. They got Yabusele from the Sixers. They got Jordan Clarkson. And Yabusele, everyone knows him from the Olympics from France. And he's a good player, man. Like he can shoot threes. He's a big, he can get rebounds. He's physical. So for the Knicks purposes, I think it's good because Mitchell Robinson cannot score on offense. He's a good defensive player, but he just has no offensive value. So to get a guy like Yabusele to just come in there and like provide a little more like just a little more value for that front court, I think is very valuable. And Jordan Clarkson, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not the biggest fan of these like score first guards that take a lot of shots, but for their purposes, it's actually really good because as we saw last year, they are so reliant on their starting lineup and Jalen Brunson, kind of like the Nuggets with Jokic. Now you're able to put a guy kind of like Tim Hardaway Jr. who can just come in and like off the bench, he can just light up for 10 in like 2 minutes. Like he's that kind of guy. Like he's very streaky. He's just he can score, he can fill it up, but he's gonna have some bad games, of course. But I just like the fit because you don't need a guy that's consistently great every single game with Jalen Brunson because you have Jalen Brunson. But to just get a little pop off the bench like Jordan Clarkson, I like it. I mean, they got Mike Brown as the coach. They got rid of Tibbs. We'll see if that makes a big cultural shift and how that affects the team. But we'll see if they make more moves. Everyone's talking about the LeBron for Cat or LeBron for this. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm still concerned about Cat being your five with Jalen Brunson being your point guard because on defense, they're just going to get absolutely murdered. But the Knicks are still a really good, they're a very viable team. They could win the East. They could easily be the 1 seed in the East. I still think that the Cavs are a better team, but they could easily make the finals. I don't think they're going to win the finals because I think they're still far away, and I don't think you can win with Cat and Jalen Brunson on defense at the same time. I just don't think it works. But I think they're a really good team. Everyone in New York is going to be hyped about it. I think they've had a decent offseason. I don't get the coaching stuff is whatever, but from the personnel standpoint, I think the moves have been pretty good. All right, so now let's get into the Dallas Mavericks. And I got to say, when they made that Luka trade, I thought they were cooked. I thought the franchise was over. I thought that Nico Harrison was going to get fired within a year or two. I thought that the fan base was going to completely turn on them, which they did. And I just thought that you can't rely on a team with Anthony Davis and Kyrie, two 32, 33-year-old guys who are injury prone to carry your team. And as much as I like the rest of the roster, like I didn't see it. I didn't see it. But for them to just completely luck out in the lottery and get Cooper Flag, I mean, it changed everything like that. Like just immediately everything changed. It went from a completely dire situation where Nico could have been fired in a year or two to like now they look like a real team. Like if they're able to stay healthy, that's a real team. I mean, you have Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis. When Kyrie comes back, he's back. You got PJ Washington, Klay Thompson. You got Gafford and Lively. You have Najee Marshall, Caleb Martin. I mean, you have depth, you have size, you have elite defense, you have good offense. I mean, Cooper Flag, as hyped as he is, he might be underrated from the standpoint that he can fit into any team and help them win. So I really love the fit for there. I think that's gonna be a really good team. If they were healthy to start the year, I would think they'd be a top four team in the West for sure. I think they would be slotting in that four spot right behind those three teams that I mentioned before. But because they're not healthy, it could be a little laggy. They obviously did get D'Lo, and I don't like D'Lo. I don't like as a player. I just don't think he's a winning player. I think that when you're same kind of thing when you're questioning someone about their effort, their mindset, their intensity, how hard they play, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. It's not good for the locker room. It's not good for the culture because when other players see that and if the coach doesn't like put that to rest, like it kind of bleeds into the mindset. I just don't like it. And he takes some bad shots. He kind of just he doesn't really fit into like he can play off ball and he can play on ball, so that's good from the fit standpoint. But he just I don't see him being a impactful player on a winning team. I'll put it that way. But obviously, since they don't have Kyrie, it's a big move because they need a guard for the start of the season. So yes, for the first 50 games of the year when Kyrie's not playing, it's fine because you need a guard. So obviously you need to get someone like D'Lo, and he does have some offensive pop. He can shoot a little bit. When he's hot, he's really good. But I'm just concerned that when they're transitioning from him to Kyrie, how the everything's going to change because obviously, as I said before, D'Lo doesn't play any defense. When you shift from that, when you're used to playing a certain way with D'Lo for the first 50 games, I feel like it's going to be hard to just on a dime just be like, oh, now we have Kyrie and we're just going to completely change everything. D'Lo's going to go from 35 minutes a game to like 15 minutes a game. Like I don't know. Like I think there's the Mavs still are a bit away just because of that standpoint. If Kyrie was healthy, it would be a different story. But I really like this roster. I think they're big. I think they're going to be good on defense. If they're able to stay healthy, this is an elite team that can make a playoff run. I don't think they can make it to the finals, but they could definitely make it to the Western Conference Finals. And if something goes their way, they could win it. I mean, they're a really good team. I mean, trusting a rookie to guide this team, especially without Kyrie, is a little much. But if any rookie could do it, it's Cooper Flag. That guy, he's the truth. He's real. And then some other teams, you got the Pistons. They were kind of an underrated story last year. Obviously, they were really bad the year before. They got better. Cade Cunningham made a big leap. So they have pieces, but they lost a lot. Dennis Schroeder, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway. Losing that this offseason, like it might seem like, oh, those are just like older veteran players, but that was a big portion of their team. Those guys played key roles for them. We saw them in the playoffs. They were big for them. So losing all three of those guys is not great for them. They got Karis LeVert, they got Duncan Robinson, they got some guys, but I just think that like they replaced Dennis Schroeder, like just the intangible part of his game is kind of important in my opinion. I don't think he's like an elite player, but I like him. I think he's a solid player. Karis LeVert can provide some offensive pop. You got Duncan Robinson to make some shots. I just think that I still think they're a little bit off, a little ways away. I like their intensity and the way they play defense, and I like the way they play. They're just super. They're like the opposite of what I was talking about with DeAndre Ayton. Like you can question their talent and how much like just high end talent they have. Obviously, they have Cade, but they just play. I like the way they play. They play with effort, intensity. They play hard. They make it like miserable to play them. So I like that team. We'll see if Ron Holland takes a leap. Asar Thompson, Cade is gonna be great again. I think so. So I like the Pistons. I think that right now, I think I'd put them as probably the number 5 or 6 team in the East, depending on like what happens with the Bucks, what happens with the Pacers. Like I don't know exactly how the East is going to play out outside the top four, but they could be a problem. But I just don't. I still don't think they're going to win a playoff series. I still think those top 4 teams in the East are better than them. So I think for the Pistons to be true contenders, they need to get another guy kind of like Cade, where it's like you need to have a go-to guy outside of Cade. You can't only have Cade and be so reliant on Cade. You have to have another guy that can just get buckets. Like I think that's what they're missing right now. But like a KD, that would have been a pretty interesting move. But Obviously, they were going to make that. They're still a ways away. So I like what the Pistons are building. I don't know if I love this offseason for them because they lost some veteran players, but overall, over the long haul, I think I like the direction of this team.